So we got more 1060 spoilers here, and we're actually finding out quite a few more things than we did yesterday. But let me just give you a quick recap of what we went over yesterday in case you missed my video. Luffy reveals his dream to the crew, and we get to see their reaction. Sabo continues his call with Dragon. He mentions being in Lelouchia Kingdom and having seen a person sitting on the empty throne. Imu is seen with a map that has Lelouchia Kingdom crossed out. In the skies of Lelouchia Kingdom, dark clouds start to gather and lightning is striking left and right. An object is seen falling down from the sky onto the country. Lelouchia Kingdom is destroyed. The Straw Hats meet Jewelry Bonnie, and with a bounty of 320 million at the end of the chapter. So getting into the new information now, we're finding out that Robin is reading the newspaper, and the crew comes to understand the world situation. Sabo killing Cobra while they were in Wano. Luffy says the newspaper must be wrong because Sabo just wants to free everybody. So yeah, they're finally finding out what has been going on, at least this part of the news, with Sabo allegedly killing Cobra, which we're pretty sure he was framed for. And we expected Luffy to react this way, because how else would he react? I mean, he's not going to react like Dragon did, which was odd. But him saying Sabo just wants to free everybody is, of course, because he's part of the Revolutionary Army. But it leads him to the next part here, where he talks about his dream. And he says, "This is the end of my dream." He reveals it to the crew, but we were not shown what his dream is. Allegedly, we're also getting the dialogue here with everyone's reaction to what he had said. I think this is pretty accurate because we did get some leaked panels, and I think that's what they're going off of here. But Zoro says, "Huh?" And Jinbei says, "What did you say?" Nami says, "Eh?" And Brooke says, "Yo ho ho, that's so fun." Usopp says, "No, you that's," and Frankie says, "Wah ha ha, that's nice, it's the best." And Sanji says, "Da ha ha ha, hey Chopper, examine his head." Chopper's like, "What?" So I think those reactions might possibly give more credence to what we talked about yesterday in regard to Luffy's dream and how it relates to the One Piece. And in case you missed my video, I'll just play that part here again because I think I summed it up more or less pretty good. And I guess the popular opinion on what this could be is that they want to throw the world's biggest party, essentially. And that also kind of lines up with what the actual One Piece itself is. Because the One Piece seems to be just the setting for the world's largest celebration to happen. Like, that's what Laugh Tale, the location itself, is, and the stuff there is for said party. And it kind of lines up with what's been going on with the series, to be honest. Like, the conclusion of every big arc essentially ends with a big party happening, right? Like, that's what Luffy is ultimately always looking forward to. And it seems to be like a big cathartic part of the series as well, and possibly even for Oda. And I also think a big indicator of it is Binks' Sake, the song. That's obviously a recurring thing in the series. We hear it all the time, and it's for a reason. It's because it's kind of telling us what's going on, more or less. Like, Binks' Sake is like the big part of the One Piece. Like, there's apparently going to be like the world's greatest sake there, which was possibly brewed by Joy Boy or something. But the whole thing about delivering Binks' sake is essentially bringing freedom to the world. And that's possibly why Roger named the location Laugh Tale, because like the final lyric in Binks' sake is never ending, ever wandering, our funny traveling tale. So yeah, at least I myself agree with this being the case. So when it's revealed that it's just a location and party favors with a whole bunch of special sake for everyone in the world to come together and enjoy, post them being freed from, 1,000 years of being enslaved by the world government, I can see it causing controversy, and not everyone is going to be on board with it. Luffy is the one who says they must go to Alabasta, and Zoro stops him, saying Vivi is not there. Then Luffy says they must go to Mary Joie, but Zoro stops him again. At the end of that part, Luffy, Nami, Chopper, and Sanji insult Zoro. Okay, so this is pretty exciting because we're seeing like an attempted move from Luffy. We've had no idea where they were going or where they were trying to go post Wano. I guess they're not really going anywhere because he wants to go to Alabasta for Vivi, we can assume, because he just found out that Cobra had died. And Zoro saying that Vivi is not there, I guess is accurate, but to be honest, we the audience don't know where she is at this point. Because in chapter 1054, after we found out from the newspaper that Sabo had allegedly killed Cobra, it also revealed that the Revolutionary Army commanders had taken on Ryokyu and Fujitora and were eventually able to save Kuma and successfully escape. And after that, it was also revealed that Vivi had disappeared too, which apparently happened around the same time as Cobra's murder. And after that, Kuroma, the Naval Director of Investigation, said they're still investigating the matter, as well as any possible connections between the two. So that makes me think that Sabo and just the Revolutionary Army commanders probably were involved with Vivi escaping here. And I'm assuming that she's not with Sabo and she may have went with the other commanders who seemingly aren't with Sabo at this point. Not really sure, but I say that because of what we're going to be talking about next here with Sabo and his possible fate. You know, him maybe being straight up dead here possibly. Something gigantic appears above the island, above the clouds. We can't see it. It starts shooting laser beams or something similar over the island, producing a huge explosion in the form of a sphere. But the sphere is the product of the impact of the laser beams on the island. So the island in question here is Lelouchia Kingdom, what we just talked about going over the initial spoilers, and it's completely being destroyed here. And this is because Sabo was currently there. He told us when he was speaking to Dragon and the Revolutionary Army, but we also found out that the Marines had intercepted this call and were listening to it. And one way or another, Imu is finding out about this, and she's straight up destroying that island because Sabo is aware that Imu was sitting on the empty throne, and that's like a big no-no. No one's supposed to know that. And we also speculated in the previous video about like what is destroying the island here, and I think at this point it's 90% likely that this is Uranus, one of three ancient weapons, you know, one being Poseidon, which is Shirahoshi, which her like unique Haki ability that gives her the ability to communicate with the Sea Kings and stuff. Then Pluton, which is the ancient warship, which is apparently currently under Wano. And then the third one is Uranus, which is very likely to be some kind of like flying ship thing. And that makes sense because Uranus is a Greco-Roman deity who was the personification of the sky. And that fits in with the other ancient weapons because Poseidon's the sea, Pluton is the underworld god or just land or whatever, and then Uranus is the sky. And this is also possibly what Doflamingo was talking about when he mentioned the treasure of Mary Joie and how he could like control the world with it essentially. And the way that this is working kind of lines up with the technology that we saw on Enel's cover story where he goes to the moon. And we've also been speculating for years that we may have even been seeing Uranus in those murals that he looks at. Like this ship looking thing here could be Uranus or like an analog to it, because I do think it's all connected here. Like the technology that is capable of making Uranus is probably the same technology that we see as a part of the moon. And I think it's all coming from aliens ultimately, because I think that Imu is an alien too. We talked about that yesterday as well. And I also think this is where Vegapunk's technology comes from, as well as Dr. Tsukimi. The guy who we saw made the automatas, also a part of Nell's cover story, because they both come from Karakuri Island. So it's possible, like, I don't know, some alien technology fell there and that was like the big catalyst for a lot of Vegapunk's breakthroughs possibly, as well as Dr. Tsukimi maybe. But yeah, this is very likely that, and Imu seems to be in direct control of it because like I said, she's an alien too. And I'm also sure this was utilized, you know, heavily during the Void Century and all that stuff too, right? Straw Hat crew finds Bonnie some days after the first part of the chapter, the part about Luffy's dream. They find her in the sea. She's in kid form, near a winter island with a very strong climate. In fact, the crew saves her from dying, and this is where the chapter ends. Okay, so interesting. We didn't get this information yesterday. We just know that they came across Bonnie. And like I talked about, the last time we pretty much see Bonnie was when she was at the Reverie, where we can kind of put two and two together and see that she's very likely to be a celestial dragon. So some way or another, she escaped from Mary Joie and wound up here near a winter island with very strong climate. And maybe this is the next location they're going to. I hope not, because this doesn't sound like Elbaf. Elbaf isn't like a wintry island with very strong climate. Although it could be Lodestar. We don't really know anything about that other than its name and that it's the final island in the Grand Line, but I don't think that's where they are. Like I also said yesterday, Bonnie is probably going to give them some very, very useful exposition here. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing what happens. But let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.